Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Global Education. We've got another webinar for you tonight. We've got something a little bit different for you. We've got our new sort of focus on helping students that are gifted within the sports and the academia side of things. We've got University of Exeter tonight, and tonight we've got Matt Shepherd, who's the Sports Scholarship and Recruitment Officer. So he's probably one of the key people that you need to be talking to, and it's great to have him here who's going to be able to present and showcase a little bit more than what we're all sort of used to when you do a simple Google search. So please, as always, put your questions in the Q&A box. I won't be doing much talking throughout the presentation, but we will have the discussion afterwards and a Q&A set up at the end. So please don't be shy, put those questions in there. It's the perfect time to get all your answers answered, all your questions answered. Matt, give it a couple seconds, then I'll you can get your screen shared and we'll let you start.
Bro. Hopefully you should be able to see my screen now.
Brilliant.
So
yeah, we've got 10 people on, Matt, so I'm going to say let's just go and start.
Let's crack on. Brill. Well, good evening, everybody. Good evening in, yes, it's both evening in South Africa and the UK. Just quickly to follow on George's introduction, I'm Matt Shepherd. I'm the Sports Scholarship Recruitment Officer at the University of Exeter. Basically, my job is to support elite athletes getting into the university, into our performance programs and wider sporting clubs. And then also, if of a certain level, support them with elite athlete support throughout their time with us. I wanted to just start this presentation giving you a bit of a quick overview about the university itself, so you can get an understanding of what Exeter is and what our university is like, and then also just like kind of our key colleges of where we find a lot of our kind of sporting athletes, what courses they study, to give you an understanding of what requirements are. So to give you a quick overview of University of Exeter, we are 12th in the UK for academic rankings. That's over 170 universities. So we are one of the top university institutions in the country. And we sit in the top 150 worldwide. So that's the top 1% of worldwide universities. We are a member of the prestigious Russell Group. So the Russell Group in the UK is a prestigious group of 27 universities who show excellence in academic research. And then we have 27,000 students, 5,000 of those are international from over 180 different countries. So our campuses are extremely diverse and cultural. We have 4 campuses for the University of Exeter. We have 2 in Exeter ourselves. So there's the STREATHAM campus, which is the main campus, which is where the large sports park is based and a lot of our academic colleges. And then we also have a second called St Luke's, which is in the city centre of Exeter. That's where a lot of our medical, sport and psychology courses are based. Then we also have 2 campuses down in Cornwall. So the first is PENRYN. So PENRYN is South Cornwall on the south coast, right on the beach. Down here we have a lot of, or some business school courses, some medical courses, some geography courses down here. And then we also have a campus in Truro, and the campus in Truro is solely for our medical students. Now, one thing I will quickly say, just touching on this, if somebody is interested in competing in a competitive sporting programme, I would advise to apply to the University of Exeter campuses that are in Exeter. The reason why we say this, if you go to PENRYN down in Cornwall and you wish to be part of, say, our rugby performance programme, PENRYN is a good 2.5-hour drive away. So to be able to achieve your academics at PENRYN and also sport in Exeter, it's just not manageable. But I will touch upon what sport offering there is down in PENRYN. So these are kind of our 4 most popular colleges or schools of degrees that we offer. So we have more than this, but these are kind of the top 4 where we see a lot of our athletes and those interested in sport go to. So business school, kind of the key courses you'll find here: accounting, finance, business, economics, and we also offer flexible combined honours. A flexible combined honours is where you match up 2 different degrees, so you effectively study 2 degrees at once. We are ranked top 4 in Europe, so we are one of the best business schools in Europe. For the past couple of years, we've been ranked as the #1 business school for student prospects after graduation. So students graduating with us ranked #1 in getting a job when they finish with us. I've tried to put just an array of entry requirements so you can get a bit of an understanding. So A-levels is the UK requirement. So anybody or most students in the UK will study A-levels. Now these are done throughout the world as well for some countries, but we accept international baccalaureates as well, which is obviously worldwide. We accept kind of an entry requirement of a 36. And then in the South African National Certificate, you're looking between 77666 as probably your minimum requirement to get into the business school. The College of Life and Environmental Sciences, this is the college that offers a lot of our sport degrees, a lot of our medical degrees, a lot of biology degrees. We're ranked top 15 worldwide for our sporting subjects. So sports science is a huge degree with us here in Exeter. And like I said, we're top 15 in the world. So we are one of the best to come study for. And then again, you've just got your minimum requirements down below. So you're looking at a 32 on the IB as a minimum, and then again, 77666 for your South African national certificates. College of Engineering, Maths and Physical Sciences kind of does what it says on the tin. You can imagine all the engineering degrees we do in there, as well as maths and the physical sciences. So physical sciences is going to look more at combining engineering and maths. Ranked 12th in the UK for engineering, so again top 15 in the country, so extremely competitive. And then down below, College of Humanities, where you'll find your geographies, histories, English language, English literature, modern foreign languages, theology, religion, etc. And we're top 100 worldwide for humanities as well, so again top 1% worldwide of universities for humanities subjects. So that just gives you a bit of an understanding of the academic requirement you'd be looking for to get into Exeter. Being a top 1% worldwide university, we are going to have those high academic grades, but that doesn't mean that that should be a really high target. We offer grades on a grade boundary, so it's not this is the minimum. We have, say, this is what you could expect to be offered to this is what the lower offer could be. But we're here to talk about sport. So what I want to do before going into a few key sports that I wanted to speak to you guys about was just give you an overview of what sport or student sport in Exeter is like. Over the past however many years, we've invested over £30 million into facilities, services to ensure that our students have the best student sport experience in the country. So within that, we have our recreational and intramural program called I Am Sport. So this is in-house, only University of Exeter students leagues. So this could be 5-a-side football, 11-a-side football, basketball, touch rugby, a huge variety of different sports. And we also do big one-off events like the Grecian Shield, which is kind of a multi-sport event. We offer BUCS sport, which we'll go into in a minute a bit deeper, which is inter-university sport. So that's the competitive university program. And we also offer a performance sport program within that BUCS program. So those key sports for us, which I'll highlight in a minute, and the key teams in those will receive much greater in-depth support. We have large health and wellness programs looking at gym and fitness memberships. We have expansive health and fitness facilities. So our sports park, the Rugby Fitness Centre, cost nearly £7 million to build. State-of-the-art centre, and we also offer lots of continued professional development opportunities. So if somebody you are looking to get a coaching qualification in tennis, we're an LTA coach development centre, so we offer lots of opportunities for students to also develop themselves off the pitch as opposed to just on it. But key information about the student sport experience, we have over 50 sports clubs. So there's 50 sports clubs for you to try and get involved in, either on a competitive level or from a social level. We have over 9,000 members every year engaging with what we offer, which is a huge population. We're 5th in the UK in BUCS. So in BUCS rankings, there are over 150 universities and we sit 5th. So we are top 5 sporting university in the country. And we are #1 in the south of England and Wales. So we are one of the best places to come and do your degree, but also come and do your sporting development. Now, BUCS is British Universities Colleges Sport. So they are the organisation and the institution that runs university sport in the UK. So these guys put on leagues, one-off events and knockout competitions throughout the year for universities all over the UK to get involved in and compete in, which we compete in every year. Like I said, over the last 3 years, we've been ranked top 5 in the UK. And not long before COVID, we were pushing for 4th. So we are being based off that top 5, we are the #1 in the south of England and Wales. We're #1 for hockey, we're #1 for rugby, #1 for sailing, #1 for golf, top 3 for cricket and top 3 for netball. And over the past couple of years, sadly, with COVID nullifying some league results, we have a huge amount of individual medals and league titles to our name. So if you want that all-round student sport experience, we can offer quite a unique experience if you come to us. So the performance program, like I said, which sits inside our BUCS programs, is aimed and targeted at 8 specific sports. So 8 of our sports are classed as performance sports, and then the top, say, first, second, or third teams of those sports will receive access to a wide variety of support service to ensure your continued development in the sport whilst you're with us. So those 8 sports are cricket, golf, women's lacrosse, hockey, netball, rugby, sailing and tennis. Those 8 sports receive centralised funding from the university and the high performance team here to ensure that your development whilst you're in that team never stops. So to discuss those services, these are the key services that we offer. So every athlete who is selected into a performance program team receives access to strength and conditioning. Now you receive strength and conditioning twice a week. We have a facility called the Athlete Development Centre, which has had hundreds of thousands of pounds put into it, which is a performance athlete specific gym, which those 2 pictures on the right of your screen are snapshots of. You receive 2 sessions down there a week with a 3rd recovery session. So you get an hour's recovery with recovery equipment every week. And those are delivered by full-time S&C coaches, and then your programs are written specifically for you. So those programs aren't generic. You have a strength and conditioning program that is written specifically for you. That's in the sports park on the STREATHAM campus. We also have a physiotherapy clinic. So as part of the performance program, you receive free access to physiotherapy every week. And if you need further sessions from what we provide, we then subsidise the cost by 50%. So we make physiotherapy extremely accessible for our athletes. We also offer athlete lifestyle support, and now 2 very good examples are nutrition and psychology. So we will put on workshops throughout the year for our athletes to attend, which will look at, so for example, nutrition would be your micros and your macros, what you should eat, when you should eat, how you should eat it, why you should cook it in a certain way, and just to make sure that it's tailored to you as an athlete. So those workshops are specific to sport. So example, the nutrition of a rugby player is going to be very different to the nutrition of a netballer. So we ensure that every workshop is tailored to the correct sport. Then we also do workshops on, say, sports psychology. So that could be stress management, that could be team cohesion. We might do workshops on time management, just to ensure that we develop you as student athletes, not just as an athlete. We also have a dedicated performance analysis suite in the sports park. We have a lead analyst, and we also have general performance analysis. So these guys will record all of your matches or some of your training, and then this will go onto an online platform on the internet for you guys to access, and then go back and look at your coded videos. So this is all done for you. You also receive performance coaching and facility access. So on top of the team training, if it's a team sport, team training you'll have each week, you might then get one-to-one or specific position coaching each week, and then also access to that facility. I have a later slide talking about facility, and we've invested millions of pounds in our facilities to ensure that we have the best, most up-to-date and accessible facilities on campus. And then part of your performance athlete membership, we also offer an off-peak gym membership to our public gym. So the strength and conditioning you do is in a performance athlete specific gym that's only used by our athletes. We then have a public gym which you guys get access to as part of your membership. On top of these services, every year, every sport has a pre-season. So the pre-season starts before the academic year begins, and we get you down onto campus for you to start pre-season. So that was just training and S&C most days, ready for when the season starts. So you should be fighting for ready conditions to begin. So to go through some sports, so I wanted to go through some 4 key sports. I've highlighted them in bold here: cricket, hockey, netball and rugby. These are kind of 4 of our biggest sports at the university, hockey and rugby being our flagship sports where we sit #1. But I just wanted to go through the program specifically so you guys could get an understanding about these sports. So on top of these specific support services that you receive access to as part of the performance program, this is just a bit of general information for you to get an understanding. So we've consistently ranked in the top 3 for cricket. That's both men's and women's cricket. So we offer a really strong, robust programme, and we support athletes who are playing first-class cricket for counties in the UK. But we offer 5 men's teams and 2 women's teams that compete weekly in BUCS. So that is competing every Wednesday afternoon for the university, and we offer the 5 teams for men's and 2 for women's. The top team for each of those strands of the club have access to the performance programme, so all of those performance support services. Our men's team compete in the National Premier Division. So some sports in BUCS have a National Premier Division and then a North and South. Some sports just have a North and a South. Cricket has a National Prem and then a North and South for the men's. And then for the women's, they just have a North and South Prem. So our men's compete in the National Premier Division, so they play in the highest league possible. And then our women compete in the Southern Prem, so they also compete in one of the highest leagues possible. So we offer very competitive cricket week in, week out. You have 3 training sessions per week in our on-site centre. So our indoor cricket centre is the largest in the southwest with 4 lanes, and they are the longest lanes in the southwest. So we have extremely high-class facility for our cricketers to access. We offer indoor and outdoor competition and training each year. So at the start of in term 1 between September and December, you will do indoor cricket season. And then once we get to March, you then go for outdoor cricket season. Obviously performance coaching, as I've said, in our indoor facility. And also we have support structures in place for international and national level athletes. Like I said, we have athletes who are might be England under 19, or we have athletes who are competing, say, Gloucestershire or Somerset in the first class county ECB leagues. So we have lots of pathways in place ready to support athletes if they are going to play above university level. Our hockey programme, we are #1 in the country for hockey, and we have been for quite some time. We have a huge hockey club here at Exeter. We have 7 men's teams and 7 women's teams. There's up to nearly 20 athletes elected to a team, so you can imagine the number of athletes we have playing in our hockey club. Our top 2 teams of our men's club and our women's club access the performance programme, so that's up to 45 athletes. And both of our men's and women's teams, first teams, compete in the National BUCS Premier Division on a Wednesday. So they play the highest level possible on a Wednesday. And then on the weekend, where we can, we try to offer our clubs and sports competition on the weekend. Our men's first team play in the National Premier Division. So that is the equivalent of the Premier League for football. They play in the highest league possible. So they play against Olympians and internationals week in, week out. And we've been in that division now for, I think it's coming up 4 years. So we're competitive in that league. And then our women's play in the Vestic Division 1 Southern League, which is 1 below the National Prem. So for our hockey club, for our top teams, we offer the best hockey on a Wednesday and on a weekend. Part of the club, you receive 2 pitch sessions every week with a coach, and then you also get a 1-to-1 training session every week as well. So for hockey play, that could be looking at flicks, long passes, specific skill that you would concentrate on. We have on-site international standard facilities. So we have an international standard water-based hockey pitch with a pavilion and 8 changing rooms. So it's a beautiful facility to play on. Access to an expansive support structure through the performance programme. And then again, we have maybe 15 or up to 15 athletes who are part of England, Scotland, Wales or Ireland hockey pathways with us and GB. So we support lots of international athletes. We've supported South African players in the past, Ian Haley being one of them. So we have a large number of kind of caliber of international players and who we would also look to support. And there's also a very large coaching network for our hockey club. We have a head of hockey, and we also have a head of women's hockey, and then we also have a lead performance analyst, as well as other coaches that come in and support the club. So it's a very well supported club, which is why we are #1 in the UK. Our men's rugby programme. So our men's rugby programme at Exeter, again, is #1 in the UK. We have been #1 for, I think, the last 7 years now. We offer one of the best rugby experiences in the country, which is a near professional setup. It's obviously we are a university, but we're as close to being professional as possible. Our men's club offers 10 teams that compete on a Wednesday. Again, you've probably got 30 players who are selected to that squad, so that's at least 300 players. So we have a huge club and we're ready to take more players. Our first team compete in the BUCS Super Rugby League, which they've won twice. This is now reclassified as being alongside championship level, 1 below the Gallagher Premiership in the UK. So it's one of the highest levels of rugby you can play in the UK. And the top 100 athletes access our performance program for men's rugby. So the top 100 athletes in our program will receive access to those support services I previously mentioned. Our team also compete in the National League on weekends, which is, I believe, the 4th division, and we're going to look to get promoted to the 3rd division next year. So again, we offer very competitive rugby on a weekday and on a weekend. Again, we have international and Premiership player pathway support. So we have a number of players who are players for Exeter Chiefs, who also play in the one of the home nations under 20 national teams as well. For rugby, there is cognitive and fitness testing throughout the year. So when you arrive with us, you'll have a cognitive test, and then throughout the year that is managed and overseen. So if there are any cognitive concussion issues, we're able to keep on top of those by accessing local NHS A&E, so we can get on that straight away. And we also have a very large coaching network, again, for rugby. So we have a director of rugby, we have an assistant coach, and then we have a number of Exeter Chiefs players and coaches who come over and deliver to all of our squads, and that's all of our squads, all of those teams. So we will usually have a forwards coach and a backs coach from the Chiefs who will come over to each session and deliver coaching to our players. Great thing about that is, obviously, Exeter Chiefs last year won the European Cup and the Premiership. So they're one of the best union teams in Europe. And we have their players coming delivering to our players. So what they're learning, we're learning. So we really do have one of the best setups for our rugby clubs. We have a partnership with Exeter Chiefs. We are an official academy of the Exeter Chiefs club. So we have a very large number of players who go through their program every year. So we support athletes to playing Premiership level whilst at university. Women's rugby, for those who are looking to play women's rugby if they come to us. Again, we have one of the best programs in the country for women's rugby. We have 2 teams. Not many universities have 2 teams competing weekly in BUCS. Women's rugby is smaller than men's rugby, sadly, in this country, but we are one of the leading universities to put out more teams for women's rugby. The first team compete in the Southern Premier Division, which is one league below the National Prem, and we're hoping we'll get promoted back to the National Prem to be playing the top level rugby on a Wednesday. They offer a no trial system, so anybody wishing to play in the women's rugby team is welcome to come and play, and you'll be selected into a team. You do not have to trial for that position. You receive a full pre-season at the start of every year, which is usually about 5 weeks long. And again, we have international player pathway support. We had 2 players selected into the England seniors team for the most recent Women's Six Nations. So we have a very high caliber of athlete that play with us. Again, we have our director of rugby, we have a head of women's rugby, and we also have performance analysis that support the development of our women's club. Now, Exeter Chiefs recently, last year, had their first season in the women's Tyrrell Premiership. So we now support athletes playing in the National Premiership as well for Exeter Chiefs. So we have a partnership on the women's team as well. So that means you get coached and have training opportunities with Chiefs women team, both at Sandy Park, which is where they're based in Exeter, and also our facility. Schedules are aligned, so players can take part in both training for university and Exeter Chiefs, which doesn't clash with your academic timetable. And we also have support services in place to support your strength and conditioning and physio. So for men's rugby and women's rugby, all of your physio and strength and conditioning is delivered by Exeter Chiefs. So you receive really world-class standard facility access as well as support service access. Sports scholarships. So we have a very strong sports scholarship program here in the UK, and Exeter is one of those leading universities for sports scholarships. Our current criteria is to be representing an international standard. So we require anybody to be selected to that program to be representing of age group under 19 and upwards. The reason why we say that is it used to be national level. However, the standard of athlete coming through the university has increased, so we have to increase our criteria as well. We also offer bursary opportunities for those competing at national level in our performance sports. So those who are in the national pathway to say the professional game, we offer bursaries for. So those in rugby, those in netball, or those in cricket who are playing first class or second class cricket, we will offer bursaries as well. But the main award, which is our Sports Scholarship Award, offers finances of up to £3,000. So that is in termly instalments. There is then athlete lifestyle support in there on a one-to-one basis. So if there are highlighted need for sports nutrition, we will pay for you to have one-to-one sessions with a sports nutritionist or a sports psychologist. We also have an individual sports mentoring scheme. So you'll be assigned a sports mentor who will help you manage your academic and sporting timetable and make sure there's no clashes. And then lastly, the whole support package itself is worth up to £3,500. So it's a very, very well-rounded support service and package that you receive as a sports scholar. Applications are the same dates every year. These never change. So say you're looking at September 2022 entry, applications will open on the 31st of October 2021, and then they will close on the 31st of May 2022. And then during that summer, in the build up to the September, we will be in contact if you've been unsuccessful or if you're being invited to a later stage to apply with further references. Just to highlight the very vast facility we have across our campuses. So the STREATHAM campus, like I said, which is the main campus in Exeter for a lot of our facilities and our academic courses. We have the Russell Sill Fitness Centre, which was £6.5 million to build. We have 3 fitness studios, a double sports hall, Exeter Tennis Centre, which is 10 tennis courts in total. And we have a 4-lane indoor cricket centre, 4 squash courts, the on-site physiotherapy clinic and our ADC. Outside, we have our water-based international standard hockey pitch and a sand-based, a more hybrid pitch for our second pitch. We have a 3G all-weather training pitch, which is mainly our rugby facility. This was used by the Tonga national team during the 2015 World Cup. So this went through a lot of investment to be world RFU standard. We have a multi-use games area, which is used for 5-a-side. The middle picture on the right is our Vic Ambler Golf Training Centre. We're one of few universities in the UK that have an on-site golf training facility. We have a 25-metre outdoor heated swimming pool, an 800-metre trim trail, and 2 outdoor tennis courts. So on our Streatham campus, there is an abundance of sporting facility to make sure that you guys have access to the best facility possible. On St Luke's and other facilities. So St Luke's is our other campus in the city centre of Exeter. We have an air-conditioned 70-station gym, an indoor swimming pool, which is that top picture on the right. And then we have an upper and lower sports hall. So we have 2 sports halls on that campus as well. We have off-site facilities that we own, Ducks Meadow. Ducks Meadow is our 16-pitch multi-use facility along the river in Exeter. It's probably 10 minutes from the Streatham campus. This is where you'll find pitches for rugby, football, lacrosse, American football, quite a large variety. Topsham Sports Ground is like our premier facility. So our top teams play at Topsham. That's because we have a pavilion there, and we also have facilities for filming matches and sessions and training sessions up there. So at Topsham Sports Ground, we host rugby, lacrosse, football, and cricket. So we have a cricket pitch up there too. We also have a Nicholas Ball boathouse. So those interested in rowing, we have a boathouse along the river, and we also have a boat person who maintains that and all the boats there. And we also have an ergo rowing room. So we have large facilities that we own, and we're also partnered with a number of facilities off-site throughout Exeter in the local area. So Roadford Lake is where our sailing team train, Exeter Arena for athletics, and then Dawlish Warren Trevose Golf Club are our key golf clubs that we're partnered with for our golf programme, and then a couple of centres for those who might be training in other sports, which are a little bit further out. So I'd touch on Sport in PENRYN. So Sport in PENRYN is down on our campus down in Cornwall. Down here, sport is run by the Falmouth and Exeter Students' Union, as this is a shared campus between 2 different universities. They support 58 sports clubs, 27 of those partake in competitive opportunities throughout the year. Their clubs are suitable for all abilities, so anybody from competitive who wants to play local on the weekend or wants to try a taster session for a new sport. They have over 3,000 people involved and have access to a number of facilities both on-site and off-site. The great thing about our PENRYN campus is right on the beach in Cornwall, which is one of the most beautiful places in the world. And what we've done is linked just a list of their clubs if you wanted to go have a look. The union also offers support for international level athletes or national level athletes, so they have a bursary scheme. Applications for this open between August, September and October. So if you head down there and you believe you fit their criteria, I'd strongly recommend that you apply to their bursary. Offers up to £1,500 worth of financial support to cover your costs of your sporting development. Kind of the last thing from me, what can you do now if you're interested in, say, chatting to me further or finding out more about University of Exeter sport or student sport? If you're interested in competing in our performance program, so those 8 sports that I've mentioned and the support services they offer, please complete our performance interest form, which you can find on our website. That comes directly to me and I can get you in contact with our coaches. If there's a sport that I've not mentioned that you're still interested in finding out more, or gym memberships, complete our student sport interest form and we can get more information to you or get you in contact with the club specifically. But for me, that is everything. And I hope there are some questions for us to go through.
Thanks, Matt. That was brilliant, and it really painted a picture of what a student should look for in terms of, not just the sport that they want to do, but the support level that's out there for them. I think that's one thing that a lot of students, they kind of limit themselves from investigating at the very start of that process. Before we get started on a couple of questions, we've got a couple of soccer students, football students that are very keen to explore the UK. Could you go into that in Exeter, please?
Of course. So we are one of the top sporting universities for football or for soccer. We compete in the Southern Prem for soccer. So football in the UK at university level is split just between Northern Prem and Southern Prem, and then works out into their regions. We compete in the Southern Prem, so we play in the highest league possible in the UK. Last year, I believe we had 6 soccer teams on the men's side that compete. So again, you're looking at up to maybe 25 players per squad. So there's a good however many players, over 100 players competing in those teams. Soccer for us is all based on our STREATHAM campus, so all the training is based at STREATHAM. You'll have at least 2 training sessions with a coach per week. And then our first team for the men's side have been highlighted as a potential focus sport. So below our performance sports, we have a few sports that are selected that are highlighted as potential performance sports. So what this means is we provide them access to some of those support services that our performance teams get. So for example, our men's team, men's first football team, have access to strength and conditioning. So they have weekly S&C with a coach, a strength and conditioning coach. And they also have a paid member of staff who does their coaching for them, a UEFA B licensed coach, so a very high class standard coach. And they also are looking to expand into performance analysis. There's a lot of support services for our football club. On the women's side, we have 2 BUCS teams as well. They compete in the Western 1A and the Western 2A, so the kind of the top 2 or 3 leagues in the country. Obviously, as you can imagine, football in BUCS, and especially in the UK, is a huge sport. It's a huge sport. So you have some regions that have leagues that go down to maybe, I think in the Western regions, there's 7 leagues for football, and each of those leagues have at least 7 or 8 teams in. So you can imagine the number of players you'll be playing against. But what you'll find for football, all of your costs are covered at the start of the year. So your club, the football club will ask for, say, 1 lump fee up front, which will include your kit, and then that will include your full year's worth of travel and competition. So usually you're looking at around maybe £250 for your fees at the start of the year. But those fees then cover you throughout the whole of the year. So that's your whole season worth of payments sorted.
Oh, brilliant. And it's like I said to everybody listening into this, you're listening to someone who knows what they're talking about here. And please, best advice I can give you when looking to study and do sport is get the right information at the start. Matt, I've got a question for you here. What's the matric level of criteria that's needed to get a look at? What they should be looking at?
So if we're talking at kind of 2 specific levels, I think firstly, the sports scholarship is one level at which people wish to look into. If you're looking to be a sports scholar with us, you need to be of international standards. So you need to be representing your nation at international level through a performance pathway. So under that sports scholarship scheme, we have 3 awards: the Sports Scholarship Award. The Sports Scholarship Award is for athletes who are competing in one of our performance sports at international level. We then have the Sport Performance Bursary. That award is for those who compete at international level outside of one of those performance sports. So we support anybody in one of our 50 clubs, but you need to be competing in a performance or international performance pathway to be recognised for that. And then per sport, if we're looking at more of a performance level, not an international level, this really varies across sport. So for example, for our rugby club, if you're looking at men's rugby, the performance program, the general entry requirement or the general entry standard are players who are leaving a Gallagher Premiership Academy. So they would have been in an academy of, say, Exeter Chiefs or Leicester Tigers or Sale Sharks. For netball, you might be looking at having been part of an NPL pathway. So in the UK, we have something called the National Premier League for netball, which is from the Super League franchises. So that's age groups. So you need to potentially have been selected into one of those. For football, usually a lot of our first team players have played some sort of academy football. Now that could be just from a professional club. That's not necessarily Premiership. Professional football in the UK is the top 4 leagues, so that's down to League 2. So as long as it's been a professional setup, that's this kind of the standard we would be looking to.
Brilliant. Matt, what type of like, now we've had this pandemic that's been going on for since last year and still going through, let's say, for example, Zimbabwe and South Africa still throughout this current period. Yep. We've got athletes or students that have competed at national level, but there's been no physical events. There's been no opportunity to record. What happens then with their applications? So
what we always recommend is provide as much detail. So a really good example is that performance sport interest form. That really offers you the opportunity to get your details to a coach, and you can detail as much or as little as you like in that. What we often find is a lot of international students, because the setup of sport is different per nation, have the opportunity to add footage. So you might use a platform online and then add the link to that form so our coaches can see. Video footage, especially for rugby, is always preferential. However, it's not end of the world. I think we've gone through the exact same situation as other nations have, where we've gone for a very long period without sport. Every student who comes to us has the opportunity to trial for whatever team they wish to trial for. So it's not end of the world if you're unable to provide as much detail up front. If you attend to us, all of our teams have trials before the start of the season in September, at the start of the academic year. And all of our clubs are based on performance. So you might hear some universities might have more final year students in their teams, but that's just because of their setup. For us, it's performance based. If you're good enough to get into a certain team, you'll go into that team. So I think for us, for looking at students who are wishing to come to the UK, is complete that performance interest form and add as much detail about your playing experience. So your playing experience would be clubs or competitions you've played in, how many times you've done that, who your notable coaches have been. If there's video footage for you to add, please add video footage. Those are the key things we look to. Obviously, naming your position and your experience from that position. That just gives our coaches the best, clearest understanding of you as an athlete. The better we understand you as an athlete, the better we can support you. I think it's also worth noting that for us, academics always will come first. So it's about getting those good grades for then us to be able to look at your sporting CV, knowing you're going to be able to come to us.
It's probably a good way to segue on to the academic side of Exeter. And we were supposed to have Matt on, sorry, not Matt, Taylor on this call as well, who's our international recruiter that we work with at Exeter. And he gave us a presentation a couple months ago now that was talking about the support level at Exeter. And that's something I want students to note is, the type of level of support that you get at Exeter is not just about your sports, but once you're about to graduate, that career function as well, which is just as important. Do you have any insights from your perspective on that type of support at Exeter?
Yeah, so like I said, for us, you go to university and you spend money to go to university. So our number one priority for you guys is to get a good degree. So number one, get a good degree. Number two, play good competitive sport. So when you come to the university here, every student is assigned an academic tutor. So no matter what course you do, what lecture you're in, what seminar group you've been assigned to, you will be given an academic tutor. Now that tutor will be the same person who sees you through your whole academic journey. So they are there to basically support you with any issues you might have on the academic front. So you're struggling with a certain subject or module, and they'll be able to have one-to-one time with you to ensure that you can keep on top of your work, as well as being able to speak to each individual lecturer. We have lots of support in place for students with maybe a learning disability or a physical disability. Those students are given an ILP, which is an individual learning program, which just means that if there's any further support you need, either access or during, say, exams, you're able to get that. And then that could be one-to-one week work every week on different learning techniques. The great thing about Exeter is we also have, each of our performance sports have a permanent member of staff. So they have a head of hockey, a director of rugby, which means that they are there to oversee your sport. But like I said, we're very aware of your academics. So example is if you're struggling with your academics slightly and you're playing in our first team for rugby, what our director of rugby will do is take you out of the rugby program, make sure we get you back on top of your academics and make sure your grades are back where they should be. And then we ease you back into the rugby program. You don't lose your place. We ease you back into that program just to make sure that you're still achieving on both fronts.
So we make parents really happy with this program as well. I think that's Matt, I've got another question here for you. What's the alumni setup at Exeter like for its athletes? And how does that help a student make a decision as well in applying to Exeter?
Yep. So we have a huge alumni network. So one of the biggest and most successful things about Exeter is our alumni and our alumni network and who they are and where they go. So we have on the sporting front huge alumni who have gone on to achieve great things in sport, but also in a professional career away from that. A really good example for us is Sam Skinner. He was a full-time Exeter Chiefs player when he was with us. He did a business degree. He then went on to get first in his business degree, which is the highest grade you can get at undergraduate level in the UK for a degree. And then he's gone on to have a very successful playing career with Chiefs. And he's also gone on to play for Scotland. So it shows that here and at Exeter, you can get a first-class degree in one of our toughest subjects, but also still achieve your dreams on the sporting front. But we also have a lot of alumni who, once they finish sport, will obviously go into the professional sector. And that gives us lots of key contacts for people who might be looking for work experience over the summer, looking for an internship. We have lots of alumni who go into the business and finance sector in London. And obviously, the finance sector in the UK is one of our leading sectors for income for the UK as a whole. So to be able to tap into those types of people who are working in the biggest banks and the biggest recruiting companies in London, which is the financial sector of the world, or epicenter in the world, is brilliant for our students to get involved in. Every club has alumni that come back and coach every so often as well. We run alumni competitions, so you get to meet those alumni. A very large part of your university experience is networking. So not only getting that good grade, but also meeting key people and giving yourselves the correct openings for when you want those, say, internships or graduate opportunities. It's worth noting for those who compete in our sporting programs and our performance program, and we offer access to a employability platform called Advictor. Now, Advictor is a little bit like LinkedIn. I don't know if anybody's heard of LinkedIn. And what this platform does, you basically put out your sporting CV as a student, and then this is advertised to companies in London, Birmingham, Manchester, the big cities in the UK and across the UK. And if you're looking for an employment opportunity, they look for students who have competed in sport, because in sport at university, you learn a lot of transferable skills, communication, time management, etc., financial management. And these are key things that employers look for. So we give you free access to this, and this is run by some of the staff for Advictor alumni for us. So we have key contacts in these key companies who we can help get you on your path beyond university.
No, that's great, Matt. Just seeing a couple more questions fly through here, so we can just keep going with them.
Go for it.
I've got a question here on men's hockey in the UK. Oh, great. Do you have any players in the Olympics competing?
So we haven't had in the Olympics this year, and we have had previously. And we've currently got 7 players who are in the GB EDP program, which is kind of the step below the senior Olympic team. I have actually been chatting, and hopefully we have a South African Olympian who's just been to Tokyo joining us in September, which should hopefully be quite exciting. So we do support Olympic level athletes. We've had athletes go to the Commonwealth Games and win gold medals there. So we have a very long history of supporting Olympic athletes in hockey.
I think to that student that asked that question as well, please do get in touch with us, and we'll glad to get you in touch with Matt and Taylor as well. Detailed conversation. Matt, just in terms of the application as well, back onto that,
Yep.
if you could just share a little bit, what's the matric average grade that you will be looking at? I think you had it on the one slide.
Yeah, so I guess what you would genuinely be looking at, if we're looking at, say, the national certificate in South Africa, I know some students in South Africa might do the International Baccalaureate or the National Certificate. You'd potentially be looking at, on the certificate, a 77666. So anything in the UK needs to be equivalent of 3 A levels. So UK students study A levels. Now this might just be a UK based thing. I know some countries pick up A levels as well and offer them. But any grade requirement, if it's say from the States, from Australia, from South Africa, they have to equate to 3 A levels. Now the minimum average requirement you would find for Exeter is AAB. Now in some countries that might be 85%, dependent on how they are graded, but it's a 77666 for the national certificate in South Africa. Or if you're looking at the International Baccalaureate, it's usually from a 34 upwards, dependent on what your prediction is. All applications for any undergraduate study in the UK go through UCAS. UCAS is the main, or they're kind of the governing body in the UK for applications to undergraduate university places. No matter where you are in the world, it has to go through UCAS. Now, the timeline on that is quite an easy one. It opens in September at the start of the academic year. They then close for applications in January. Or sorry, they don't close, but if you apply before the 15th of January, you're guaranteed an offer if you meet the requirements. You then have to make your choices by May, and then you get your place dependent on your grade result. So it's quite a step-by-step process.
Yep, and to everybody listening in onto that, this is where global education works hand in hand with the University of Exeter and all our different pathways. So we'll actually help you with your entire application and make sure that it's done correctly, and also that we are a registered UCAS center as well. So please do reach out to us at Global, and we're more than happy to help. Matt, just for the performance links in that, are you able to share with those so we can share them out to everybody?
Of course, definitely.
And, to everybody as well, we will send you an email. So if you have signed up to this webinar, you will get the recording from us, and you'll also get the links that Matt was talking about as well, just so we can keep a little bit of transparency here and keep you all informed with all the updates that Exeter do. If there are any more questions, please put them through and we'll gladly answer them. Otherwise, Matt, you've covered most of my questions. I've got one more for you.
Brill.
Give it a couple more seconds. I think that's it. What's one thing you like about Exeter that you haven't spoken about?
The location. The location of Exeter is, and our campus is, a lot of our competitors, their universities are very different campuses, very built up and very large. Our campus is very green. We're right on the coast. You can get to London in 2 hours on the train. You can get to kind of central England, Birmingham, etc. in a couple of hours on the train. So we offer kind of the best of every world you can think of.
Brilliant. Well, everybody, thank you very much for joining us tonight. Matt, thank you again. It was a pleasure to talk with you and to listen to you as well. And I do hope we'll see you again in the future as well.
Definitely. Thank you so much.
All right, everybody, have a good night.
Thank you.
Matt, if you're still on, I've got one more question that's just popped through here.
Oh, go for it. I'm still here.
And it's from Sean. What's the procedure for an international student, and do you qualify for the scholarship? So Sean, you got to go through that link, and I will send you an email for that with your academics as well. So give me 2 seconds. I'll get that email to you shortly. All right.
Fantastic.
Cheers, Matt. Take it easy.
Andy, thank you.